interior of the offensive line. What do you see out of the center, and how's Brunskill coming along there?
I mean, we've had to mix a bunch of guys up in there. We've lost, center has been like our receivers. We've lost three centers so far, with starting with Richburg and then Long retiring and then going to Garland yesterday. So we've had to move a number of guys there, trained a bunch of guys. Brunskill's done a little bit of it. I mean, goes in there and tries his best, just like the other guys. Brought in a new guy today, and Grasu. So today was his first day. So when you lose three guys that you plan on having, you're going to have to switch around a bunch of guys to figure it out.
Hey, Kyle, when you look at the guys who are on the injured lists right now, Ronald Blair, Weston Richburg, Julian Taylor, Richie James, and Debo, how many of those guys are you planning on starting the season on that injured list, or one of those injured lists and missing the first 6 games at least?
I mean, I don't remember all the names you just said, but I mean, I know Richburg's not coming back at that time, and I know Richie James isn't. The other guys, and I know Julian isn't. So I think that leaves 2 left. So the other guys we're holding out hope for.
Hey, Kyle. I'm just wondering about the energy in today's practice. It seemed like it was pretty good for the day after a day off. What did you think about that, and your comments on a couple of small scuffles today?
Yeah, I like the energy today. Especially coming off a day off. Sometimes guys tend to have to wake up a little bit after that, a few periods in. But guys came ready to go. I thought it was probably one of our most physical day yet. There was a little scuffles there going back and forth, which is typical of camp around this time. We'll see it all when we get on the film and stuff. But sometimes scuffles are a little bit are okay. They wake everyone up a little bit. But we're trying to make sure no one's throwing punches or doing anything that would get us a penalty or them injected in the game.
Hey, Kyle, it's Jennifer. Brandon Ayuk seems to be involved in a lot of the one-on-one with the ones. What is it about him, about his learning curve, that has helped let you put him in there right away?
I mean, he's got the ability, and he's worked hard from a mental standpoint, so he's earned some reps there. He hasn't been going with them all the time. For the most part, our guys have been pretty interchangeable. Right now, the ones and twos are blending a ton together, but Brandon's still got a lot to learn, a lot to go, but these practices are huge for a rookie like that. We're expecting him to play a lot this year, just like we were expecting Debo and Jalen last year. And when it's that way, you got a lot of pressure on you, so you can't miss a day or you get behind, and he's doing that both mentally and physically.
Go ahead, Steve.
Oh, hey, Kyle, Steve White.
Steve.
Could you just talk a little bit about Trent Williams? I mean, what he's done. I was watching him there in Pass Pro today, and the feet and everything were just incredible. But just what he's done and what you're expecting from him.
I mean, Trent's been everything we've expected. I mean, Trent is as talented of a football player that I've ever been around. I was fortunate to be with him his first 4 years in Washington, and you never know how much a guy's going to change. Not seeing him in person and practice and stuff for about 7 years. But he's the exact same guy, still the same athlete, still moves the same, very aggressive player. This has been his first time playing football in about a year and a half. Came in great shape. Him, like our entire football team, is still continuing to get in football shape. But I've been very pleased with the athlete, and I've always loved the guy. And it's been to get him out here with our players and get him kind of used to how we do things.
Hey, Kyle, question for you. I know you're big on your guys coming back to training camp kind of in football shape, but I want to talk about Dante Pettis. He had a couple of catches back on Tuesday. Has he come to camp kind of in that shape that you look for out of your receivers?
Yeah, I was very excited with Dante. The first day I saw him when he came back, we weren't allowed to see him for a few days because of all the COVID testing and stuff. And he was one of the guys I was looking forward to talking to the most. And when he came in, I saw him right away when he came in. We got to talk, and you could just tell his mindset, how his body was, that he spent the time away from us doing everything he could to put himself in a position to make this team and to be as successful as he can be. So I've been very proud of Dante so far, and I think it showed. I think he had his best practice yesterday or 2 days ago since he's been here, like you said. I know he got a lot of balls and a lot of opportunities, but it wasn't just that. It was his demeanor, the way he played, the aggression and his routes and everything. And I've been very pleased with Dante so far.
Hey, Kyle. since you, I guess the last week or two, you guys have signed a lot of veteran players. You know, some guys are first, second round picks, Pro Bowl guys. Do you, I mean, just the fact that some of these guys, I guess, conceivably could end up on the practice squad, just the way that the rules are. Before you sign them or bring them in, do you talk to them about, hey, are you willing to do this? Is this a problem? Just because this is a new situation, and you know, some guys may not may not be going for the practice squad.
I mean, we don't talk to them about that yet. You know, I think everyone we've brought in, you're trying to bring in guys who have a chance to make your team. That's the thing you do first. You know, when you lose a guy, you always look who's out there and who can make it. If they don't make it, yeah, then you want to see who can go in your practice squad. So with the rules changing this year, that you're allowed 6 vets on practice squad, that definitely gives those guys an opportunity, or us an opportunity, to keep them around. You know, the label of a practice squad player for those guys might be a little bit different, but to me, it's just a label. You know, all those guys we have brought in have a very good chance to make this team. But if not, you know, hopefully we can keep 6 vets on this team that are practice squad guys that will eventually be playing at some time in the year. It's going to be tough, as always, to get through an entire year. Usually when guys go down, you bring some guys off the street because not always are practice squad guys, players ready to play. So you try to go get a vet on the street. But when you have the ability to keep some of those guys, if it works out that way and other teams don't take them, it's a huge deal for us and a huge deal for everyone else around the league.
Hey, Kyle, a couple questions for you about yards after catch. Obviously, I'm sure every coach wants guys who are good at that, but it seems like it's become more of a point of emphasis for you over the last few years. Was there a point where that became something that you look for in particular? And also, when you're scouting guys who maybe that doesn't show up on tape as much, are there personality traits that translate specifically to doing that well?
Yeah, I mean, you got to be able to run pretty fearless. I mean, it's if you're running around looking at who's going to hit you and stuff, it's really hard to attack and get up the field. You know, it's getting yards after the catch. I think is a little different in the NFL compared to college. You know, in college, you can reverse the field, you can go back and forth. Sometimes, you know, the speed isn't quite the same. Sometimes in the NFL, the best guys after the catch are the guys who don't mess around. They just get right up the field and get whatever yards they can. And I feel like we got a bunch of those guys. I think over the years of just being in offenses and stuff, you learn how to get guys the ball a little bit better. And the better you get at that as a coaching staff, then the better you want the guys who can do something with the ball in their hand after they catch it. So it kind of goes hand in hand with everything. And, you know, also it's, you know, we always try to have an explosive offense. That's the goal, and to get explosive plays. And I think we've done that pretty good just where we've been over our career. But, you know, I mean, last year I think we had one of the more explosive offenses, and you didn't have to throw the ball down the field all the time to do that. You can just throw it to guys, higher percentage throws where it doesn't put as much pressure on the quarterback, not as much on the O-line, and you can get guys open underneath. And when they can turn it into a big play pretty consistently, I think it makes your offense a lot more effective and efficient.
Kyle, how do you feel about the depth along the interior of the defensive line? And have you seen Darian Daniels maybe surpass some expectations you'd have for a guy coming in as an undrafted rookie?
No, I mean, he's been what we've anticipated. You know, we got a number of guys out there, and knock on wood, for the most part, the D-line's been able to stay pretty healthy. So we do have some good competition. You know, we have had some depth there these last 2 years, and I think we were able to add a couple guys this year. And, you know, not having Ronnie Blair out there and not having Julian Taylor, those guys being on PUP and stuff have given some guys some more opportunities. And it's going to be a battle to see who ends up making this roster. And he's done a good job so far, but there's a lot of them out there.
Hey, Kyle, last season when Tevin Coleman remained in the starting lineup, did you ever give it much thought to, you know, putting Raheem Mostert in there just because, you know, at a certain point there, he became a more productive back, and just on top of that, what is it that you like so much about Tevin that fits what you want to do?
I mean, I like good running backs, and I consider Tevin a good running back. We know Raheem took over the carries last year and really took off halfway through the year. And I know it's a big deal to who's labeled the starter, who's out there. And we kept going with Tevin in that. Raheem ended up getting the bulk of the carries and stuff. So I think overall he was treated more like the starter as the year went. But the thing with us in that is, I mean, who does it help more? Is it a big deal to someone? Is it not? That was kind of the way Raheem had always come off the bench a little bit, and I thought it's kind of comfortable for him to do that. They have a little bit different style of runs. We keep working both of them in. We try to get a third guy in there too, and we got a number of backs this year who can get in that mix. But Tevin I've always liked Tevin's physicality. I mean, he's got the speed that we love, like pretty much all of our backs do. But he's never going to turn anything down, and he's going to run through people and try to get those hard yards. And when people hit Tevin, there's a little bit different of a feel to it. And I like to watch how those linebackers react when they get up after they tackle him, as opposed to how they react after they tackle some other guys. And the more you can do that and mix it up with certain guys, I think it does have effect on the linebackers throughout the game.
Kyle, with all the smoke from the fires, how closely were you monitoring the air quality? Like I think it was last year where you had to consider whether to alter practices, and what's the threshold that you guys got to look to if practices might be affected by it?
Yeah, we have some tool that tells us the number of what the air quality is. So if it gets to 200, there's no choice. 200, we're not allowed to go out there, and I think it was at times yesterday. So we had guys monitoring it all day yesterday. Fortunately, we weren't out there. But if the number gets to 200, and we're basically at the mercy of how the winds go, then we're not allowed to be out there. So keeping our fingers crossed, hoping it doesn't get there. Today we were very fortunate. I mean, the wind was going the right way, so I believe our number was below 100. So we felt there was no issues today, but we'll be monitoring it every day. I'm not going to have much of a choice. I mean, if it gets to a certain point, I mean, we're not allowed to go out there for good reason. So just hoping the wind blows the right way over here over the next week or so.
Kyle, what's the update on K'Wan Williams? And outside of Jamar Taylor, what's your depth look like at nickel?
I mean, K'Wan has a calf. I mean, I think he is going to be week to week right now. I don't expect him to have him here probably for about 2 weeks. Jamar's done a good job. We got a number of guys in there, rotating them all around. I do think just thinking of some of how I've been in the past with you guys, and how I'm going to be a little bit different this year. Just, a lot of that stuff, you guys are out of practice and everything, and I don't mind answering all those questions because everyone sees in the preseason games anyways. The guys were repping the order of how you rep guys, and that's what all other coaching staffs are always trying to study. That's why I'm usually pretty more open with that stuff because they're going to find out in the game anyways. But this year is a little bit different when talking about who we're playing at what position and where and why, because there is no preseason game. No one gets any tape. So, we're not going to see anything on Arizona until we get out there on the first play in the first quarter, and the same thing with us. So I think, be a little more different with you guys in just terms of talking about the depth and where we're playing guys and moving guys around, because that is something we're realizing now that it's a big difference as we start to think about the teams we're playing when you don't have those depth charts you can see yourself. So everyone's going off so much off media reports that I might not be as open as I've been in the past training camps.
Kyle, another Dante Pettis question. What does he need to do? What do you need to see from him for him to be considered to be the primary punt returner this season?
He's got to be better than the other guys, and we got a number of guys who can do that. And I think in order to be better than the other guys, it starts with who can catch it the best. I mean, you can't, no matter how good a guy is back there, you can't put a guy back there who can't consistently catch it. I mean, the number one thing on that is for us to end with the ball. They've already given it to us. So if you're inconsistent catching the punts, you're probably not going to get an opportunity in games. So whoever catches them very consistently in practice, then it's going to be who. You got to weigh the risk and reward of who can make the biggest play and who can consistently get the most yards. And some guys don't mess around, and they can just hit it straight every time, and they get you at least a first down by getting a 10-yard run. And some guys only get like 4 yards, but every 20 they might have a chance of a touchdown, where the guy who gets you 10 doesn't have a chance. So you got to weigh that off and see who has got the most playmaking ability and who also is consistent as can be. And we know Dante's got some playmaking ability. That's why he has more kickoff returns and punt returns than anyone in the history of college football. So we know he's got some playmaking ability. If he catches it out here consistent, he'll get those opportunities in the game, and then we'll see how good his average is and how many big plays he makes.
Hey, Kyle, it seemed like Ross Dwelly was more involved in practice today. What are your expectations for him and Charlie Warner as kind of your supporting cast for George out there?
I mean, Ross has done a great job here in the 2 years he's been here, I think, too. And I expect him to get better each year, which he has. Ross came in as a little bit more of an undersized guy, but he's been able to do everything we've asked him to do, whether it's the run game or the pass game. When we lost Juice, he came in and did a great job at fullback for us. And Charlie's coming in trying to earn that role too, just like that Levine had last year, that Logan Paulson had in the past, that Selleck has had here. And he's coming in trying to do that. He's got some competition. Hopefully Jordan can get out there sooner or later to where he'll add some different dynamics. But we usually end up keeping 3. So we'll see if they give us a reason to keep 4. But there's some good competition going on.
Yeah, you can do the one more.
Hey, Kyle, I assume you like what you've seen from Mike McGlinchey in his first 2 seasons, but we're just wondering, can he take a next step and kind of what area might that be where he could do that?
I see it right now. I see Mike as a better player right now at this time than he was last year at this time. He had to battle through some injuries last year that made him miss some time, and then he had to spend a few weeks trying to recover from those as he came back. And then I thought he finished the year very strong. Right now, the way he came into camp with being away from us, the way his body is, the way his strength is and everything, the detail he's had in his technique, I feel he's at his best right now, and hopefully he continue to keep that going into the season by staying healthy and not wearing down. But I've been very happy with what Mike's done away from us because we can see it with our own eyes out there in the practice field.
All right, thanks, folks.
Thanks, guys.
Hey, Brandon, this is Tracy Sandler. You've been getting a lot of reps with the first team. Can you just talk a little bit about how your rapport is coming along with Jimmy Garoppolo?
Yeah, I think a little bit of time that we had before we got to come out here working out in San Jose and going to Tennessee, just the reps that we were able to get before getting out here, I think kind of helped us a lot. So just continue to try to build on those and just try to maximize every rep that we get together.
Hey, Brandon, this is Chris with the Sacramento Bee. I'm curious as to what the main message from Wes Welker has been to you, just in terms of things he wants you to focus on. And is there a heightened sense of urgency for you personally? I mean, obviously you want to play and contribute right away, but just given some of the injuries that you guys are dealing with at receiver, is there a heightened sense of urgency for you to come in and be a week one starter?
I just think for me, even without injuries, as a football player, as a receiver, that's just something that I want to do on my own, is just come in and have that sense of urgency and just be urgent in everything that I do. And as for Wes, that's something that he talks about, is just being urgent on the football field. From the snap, getting off the ball, and just having that urgency in everything that I do, even despite the injuries, just myself, is just something that I wanted to do.
Hey, Brandon, it's Josh Eubank from Associated Press. Just wondering, for you, what's the biggest difference going up against NFL cornerbacks in practice versus what you were seeing in college?
I think just every single guy you go up against, they're gonna be smart, they're gonna be fast, they're gonna be physical, and I just think the drop off, there's not really much a drop off from ones, twos, threes, whatever the case may be. Each corner, whatever DB it is, are all sound and technical. So I would say that's the biggest thing that I've noticed so far.
Hey, Brandon, it's Jennifer Lee Chan with NBC Sports. In kind of that same grain, have you spoken to Richard Sherman at all yet? Getting a few tips from him, and also, what is it like learning Kyle Shanahan's offensive playbook? I know that it's been challenging for other rookies in the past.
Yeah, so Sherm, he's somebody that I've talked to a lot. Just him being a corner and being a successful corner in this league. Just trying to get information from him and talk to him. And then I think just a playbook, just attacking it the same way I would take anything else. There's obviously a lot to it, a lot of details that we're still trying to clean up, but I think just every single day, we'll just chip away at that and just clean those things up and just get better and better and more in tune with this playbook as the days go by.
Hey, Brandon, Nick Wagner from ESPN here. Kyle, obviously, when he drafted you, talked a lot about your ability to get yards after the catch. How much of an emphasis is that in terms of just coaching points and things that you hear from your coaches throughout the day? And I'm sure every coach wants to have yards after catch, but do you feel that here as a point of emphasis, and how is that coached?
Yeah, it is. I think it's coached for everybody. Just when you catch the ball, whether it be catching an in-breaking route and sticking that foot in the ground and getting vertical, or catching the ball where your back is to the defense and you're drop stepping and getting vertical right away, which were kind of things that you don't normally hear a lot. I didn't hear a lot in college. It was just kind of something that you did, but here it's just emphasizing as coach. So it's just something that we try to work on as well.
Hey, Brandon, Jake Hutchinson, KNBR. Jimmy Garoppolo said that you see the field a lot like a quarterback. Why do you think that is? And also, do you see yourself having a role as a punt returner on this team?
I'm not sure. In terms of seeing the field as a quarterback, I don't know if I see the field as well as he does, but just be quarterback friendly, just try to see zones, and just try to run my routes the way that I think that he would expect me to run it. So just being where I should be in certain coverages. And then in terms of a punt returner, I think that's something that I could do, but I'm back there practicing at it, working at it daily, and if they need to return punts, then that's something that I can and will do.
Hey, Brandon, this is David Lombardi. I've spoken to a lot of coaches who talk about how quick Jimmy's release is, but I've never really gotten to speak to a receiver about that. What's it like from a receiver's perspective to catch a ball from a quarterback with such a quick release, and has that already helped you guys make a few plays in tight coverage so far in practice?
Yeah, I think there's plays where you're running a maybe like whether it be a curl route or a route that's coming back towards the quarterback and it's a timing route, and you just see that as soon as you turn around, that ball is right on you. So it's been a little bit of adjustment, just getting used to that. But it definitely helps. You don't really think about it too much, except for when times like that come up where there's tight coverage or there's a tight zone and he's getting that ball in there. So
we'll do 2 more for Brandon.
Hey, Brandon, I'm sure you heard a lot of talk about there's no off-season practices, and you're learning this very dense playbook, and plus wide receivers in general in the NFL can take a while to adjust under the best of circumstances. So you weren't supposed to, I guess, be doing it so well at training camp at this point. But you seem to surpass those expectations. Did you kind of buy into any of that, and have you surprised yourself at all?
I mean, I think anybody coming in, they're on a mission of their own, despite what anybody has to say about what rookies can do in their first year. So for me, I was just, like I said, trying to get in as much into it with the playbook as I can just to make it easier for me when I got here. I think with the Zoom meetings and not having those practices, it was our first time going through this as rookies, so we just try to look at it as a normal for us and just try to take as much as we can out of those Zoom meetings so that when the time came to finally come out and practice, we still had the knowledge of the playbook and we're able to just continue to build off of what we've learned in those Zoom meetings.
And it's been a short time with you working with Jimmy. What has he taught you working on the field? How has your relationship grown so far in these few short days?
Yeah, so I think like the biggest thing, like I said, was just the relationship that we were starting to build before we were able to come out here. So I think we're just building on the stuff that we've already done previously to camp starting and finally getting to practice out here. So I think just every single day we're just working. We talk about some things that we could have done differently, some things that we like, some things that we could do better. So every day it's just a continuous grind and just trying to build up and be ready to go week 1.
All right, thank you, Brandon.
keep this on or can I take it off now?
Hey Ross, it's Jennifer with NBC Sports. You seem to be more involved today in the offense on 11 on 11s. What are your expectations going forward, kind of, being a supporting group for you and the rest of the tight ends for George?
Yeah, kind of as training camp goes on, we kind of start adding more and more plays to kind of, keep the defense on their toes. And yeah, there were some good plays today. It was a good competitive practice just all around. Defense made some plays and offense made some plays, and those are the type of practices that we're going to need to have. Not having any preseason games, practices like that are going to be huge to be ready for week 1.
Kind of on the fun side, since George has gotten his big contract, what has he been like in the locker room and just around the guys?
It's been the same. Nothing's changed. Obviously he got paid like he deserves, but he's the same. He's the same dude. He always will. He always will be. He's just working hard, being a leader for the team, just doing everything right.
You mentioned the pace of the practice, Ross. At one point, I think Kyle Shanahan halted the session and talked to you guys. What was that all about? And were you guys going a little bit too hard at that point?
I don't think we were going too hard. I think there was some maybe like extracurricular stuff going on, but that's just football, like tempers flare, things get aggressive, things get heated, but like I said, we don't have any preseason games this year, so I think practices like that are going to be huge for our development and just to get ready for week 1.
Hi Ross, how did you prepare yourself for this season on your own under quarantine? Did you change your body at all? And do you have any personal goals for this season?
I was lucky to have a spot to work out most of quarantine. There was a week there when everything in California shut down in San Diego, where I was doing like some outdoor workouts and stuff. But after that week, I was lucky to have a spot. I was just trying to, every year it's the same goal, just get bigger, faster, stronger. I really try to work on my footwork in the run games and in my routes. So that was kind of the main thing. And my goal for the season is just kind of the same as it always is. Just whenever the team needs me at whatever position, whatever role I need to be, just to help the team win and help everyone else succeed. That's the main goal.
Ross, what have you seen from Jimmy Garoppolo this season so far? He said he feels a little bit more confident coming back, not from an injury, just a regular, normal offseason. Have you seen anything different from him so far?
I mean, I think just being in the offense for, each year you just get better, whatever position you are, especially quarterback, just being quicker on your reads, just knowing the offense better overall. But he looks great like he did last year. He looks strong. His arm looks great. I think it's mainly just being in the offense another year and just being quicker with decisions and stuff like that.
Hey, Ross, Trent Williams doesn't look like a guy that didn't play last year. What have you seen from him? I'm sure you knew something about him before he got here, but what struck you about the way he's performed so far?
Just, how athletic and how massive he is. He's such a big dude, but he moves so quick off the ball. And just the way he's learning the offense, just, he's just a really impressive dude, really great dude in the locker room, a really friendly guy. So it's been easy to get to know him.
Hey, Ross, Keyshawn from the San Francisco News. Who's been the toughest defender you went against in camp so far?
Say it again.
Who's been the toughest defender you went against so far in camp?
I mean, really, just every camp, you got to get ready for our defensive line, especially our defensive ends. For us as tight ends, we're blocking them all the time in the run game. So really, just all our defensive ends have been tough. It's just kind of like iron sharpening iron. It makes it that much easier for week one, just going against our D line. So really, just all those guys.
Hey, Russ, what have you seen so far from Charlie Warner? I know it's kind of an adjustment getting into Kyle Shanahan's offense. How has he been so far?
He's been doing well. He's picking it up quick. He's kind of got the big picture down now. He's just working on those little details that Coach Embry really harps on you about. But he's doing really well, running really nice routes. He's blocking really well, and he's a really great dude as well.
All right, thanks, Ross.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
Hey, Nick, it's Matt Barrows. I was wondering, when it comes to one-on-one pass rush drills, what's the ratio for you as far as wanting to win the drill and working on specific things that you're currently working on, moves, whatnot?
I think anybody would tell you O-line or D-line, it's not the most realistic thing compared to a team rep, but it's definitely a good tool to work on, maybe something you wanted to work on. For me, going against Trent, it's just trying to win whatever way I can. But I don't know. I try not to get too caught up in the one-on-ones because then it could kind of throw you off for the rest of practice. If you lose a couple, then you might get angry and not focus as hard the rest of practice. Or if you win a couple, get too confident going into the next the next period. But ratio, I mean, I try and split them at least split them one win, one loss. That's what I'd hope for. You're not going to beat Trent clean very often, so getting a clean win on him is a good feeling.
Nick, it's Cam Inman here. Trent was saying going into camp he was going to use you as a tool to knock the rust off. So how much rust did he have, and how much has come off just in these first 5 practices?
I obviously have never played him before, so I don't know exactly how he was before, but it definitely seems like he's feeling great and playing really well. I'm definitely confident in Jimmy's left side. Not that the rest of the O-line isn't great, but having Trent it's going to be a huge help for him. But no, it's really fun to go against him every day. He's really he's not a dirty player at all. Like, he's not pushing you after plays. He's just getting good work in between the whistles, and it's definitely, you have to come with the right mindset every day and not let the bad reps get to you as much. But from what I've seen, he's going to be very helpful this year to us.
Hey, Nick, it seemed like you went over to Jimmy and spoke to him about his left side the other day at practice. Have you spoken to him? Was there a conversation that included Trent?
I've definitely told him he's gonna have some time on the left side if he but yeah, I mean, Jimmy's been spoiled with Joe and now Trent, so it doesn't get much better.
Nick, this is Chris Biederman from the Sacramento Bee. You had mentioned your off-season regimen didn't make you look like a bodybuilder. Have you slimmed down? Have you dropped a little bit of weight? And also, Robert Saleh said, despite you maybe being a little bit leaner, he thinks you're stronger. I was wondering if you could confirm that.
Well, I haven't lost really any weight. I was a little lighter coming in, but I think I burn more calories in my training than I do at practice, which is pretty. I thought it would go the other way around, but I'm starting to put on a few more pounds with how much I'm able to eat being around the facility, and I love where I'm at physically. And what was the other question?
Robert Saleh said that despite you maybe being a little bit lighter, he noticed you're stronger. Do you feel stronger?
I got you. Yeah, I mean, all my numbers have gone up over the off season, so I'm hoping that I'm stronger and more explosive, and I feel like I am. Sometimes it's not about how much muscle mass you put on. It's more how you train, and I think we did a really good job this offseason.
Hey, Nick, the other day, Robert Saleh was talking about how you guys have been very intentional about building out this defensive line and the importance of pressure. I'm sure every team wants that, of course, but do you guys as a group, do you talk about that? Are you aware of the idea that you're kind of the focal point of this defense? And if so, does that add any motivation for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, Chris makes it pretty known to us, our D-line coach, that the front office expects not just good out of us; they expect great. And if we're not great, then we're not going to be as good as we need to be. When you invest a lot in a D line room, and you expect to get the return on it, and yeah, we use that as motivation every day. With John's out there watching us, we just want to prove him to be smart and that he put money in the right place. And yeah, we definitely come out with that mindset every day.
Hey Nick, Jake Hutchinson, you said you worked on a cross chop and a spin move over the summer. How are those coming along? And then Javon has basically had to go into this, all the rookies, without OTAs and rookie minicamp. How valuable were those experiences for you?
The cross chop I haven't used yet. It's kind of tough on Trent. He doesn't really give you his outside hand. And then the spin, I hit a couple counter spins. I definitely feel more natural using it. So that's good. And you said OTAs and minicamp. It was just great for me to get. I hadn't played for a while, so it was good to just get my hands and feet tied together and just get back on the field. That's really when you learn the scheme and get your aiming points and your get off and all the little things that you really need. That's where you iron them out. And for Javon, he didn't have that. He had a lot of Zoom meetings, and he knows everything mentally. He's just got to be able to do it at a little higher rate with offenses lining up quickly. And but he's done a really great job, and I expect him to make strides throughout camp.
And Nick, at least one more Trent Williams question here. You are not a small individual, but sometimes, watching you go against him, you look tiny. Have you gone up against a guy that has, obviously a lot of big left tackles in the NFL or college, but have you gone against a guy that combines the athleticism and size like he does?
I have not. I'd say the closest is probably Dwayne Brown from Seattle, but no, he's honestly not as tall as I thought he was going to be, which kind of makes him more difficult because he's got a really low center of gravity, and it's tough to power him and get underneath him, which is something that I like to use to my advantage. And for him, he plays so low to the ground, and he could bend so well that he's never really up high and exposing himself to power. And on normal moves that I would usually be happy about and probably beat other offensive linemen with pretty cleanly, he's right in your hip pocket when you're making the burst to the quarterback. So just his ability to recover and get back in front of you is elite.
Nick, it's Cam again, and I got a question to take you back to the Super Bowl media night back in Miami when you were asked by a Chinese reporter about the coronavirus. And it was something that we weren't talking about then. And you had a pretty mature, informative response telling everybody to wash their hands and be safe. How did you know to say that? And just, I mean, do you remember that? And just what do you think of how the protocol's gone so far?
Yeah, no, I definitely remember that because people thought it was pretty funny. I had never really heard of the virus at that point, but I remember somebody talking about just make sure we're washing our hands and being smart about it. So that's what I just said it, and it turned out to be one of the most important things you could do to avoid it, which is pretty much any virus. But yeah, was there another question to that? Oh, the protocols have been going great. I've honestly forgot that it's going on at some points because everything's running so smoothly in here. So it's just been good to get my mind off of what's going on and just focus on football. And I think the protocols are going really well. Obviously, we haven't had too many cases, and I'm just hoping that we could continue to be smart throughout the whole year.
Hey, Nick, it's Tracy Sandler. Today's practice seemed very physical, very high energy. With no preseason, how important is it to have days like this?
I think it's very important, obviously, to be smart and practice the right way, which our coaches emphasize, because as much as practice is important, having your players healthy is important. And but yeah, just the game intensity and getting our win back and getting back in football shape is very important.
Hey, Nick, throughout these one-on-ones with Trent, what is something that you specifically have learned and improved on just because you've been facing off with him?
Just how to attack him specifically, and just changing up how I approach each rush. You can't really have anything set in your mind that you're gonna do concrete, like a plan. Like, I always have a plan before my rush, but with him, he changes up his set and where he makes contact with you and how he shoots his hands, and he changes it up daily and almost every play, it seems like. So it's just forced me to react a little bit more, and just learn new ways to beat different hand punches and grabs, and I'm just learning a bunch of good stuff. So hopefully it'll help me out this year.
Hey, Nick, Kyle Posey, Niners Nation. I was wondering, so it looked like Contavious Street was really active today. So can you just talk about how he's been and just what you're seeing from him?
Street's been awesome. He's had a frustrating start to his career, and the fact that he's healthy, feeling great, and really dominating. Like, I think we all knew he could dominate because of the physical traits he has, but to see him actually start to put it together in game situations out on the field, it's really encouraging, and I think he could be a huge help to us.
All right, thanks, Nick.
Thank you.